Hey everyone, and welcome to another one of our videos. Today I'm going to be doing some more smart home and home automation equipment review. This time I'm doing some smart light switches from a company called TreatLife. The reason I picked these out, I ordered these off of Amazon, is because they have by far the best review quantity to actual rating ratio that I've seen on almost any home automation or smart home product. These had almost 20,000 reviews, I believe, and they were 4.5 stars, so kind of a no-brainer, especially considering the price of these things. Just so you know, there's two versions of these. And from what I can tell, the only difference is the indicator light on the front. You can see this one, hopefully you can make it out in the camera, has a kind of rectangular slit LED indicator for whether the light's on or off, and the other one had like a little dot kind of right towards the bottom of the switch. The other ones were also well reviewed, but had a lot less reviews, so I went with the quote-unquote tried and true one. So I already cut open the package and just took a quick peek inside earlier, but what these come with is a user's manual, which includes a whole bunch of information about how to wire these. If you're not comfortable with home electricity, 110 volt, 120 volt AC power, definitely familiarize yourself with it, and if you're still not comfortable, talk to an electrician and have somebody qualified do the work for you for the installation of these. You can shock and kill yourself with AC power. It's no joke. It's not something that is impossible to do by any means for any homeowner, but it's just something to be careful with. So take that in mind. So you get the user manual. You get a little FAQ card that talks about the TreatLife app. That was another reason I ordered these. They work with the TreatLife app, which is the smart home automation app that I've been using ever since I started messing with these types of products. And the other thing that they come with is a little card that says, hey, contact us for a free little switch. So because they're celebrating 3 years of being in business, they are giving away smart dimmer switches, which is cool. Something else that came with these that I've not seen with any other smart switches or anything like that are some wire labels. Really, really simple, but it's nice to see. It's for your line load, neutral, ground, and traveler lines. Really neat to see that. Haven't seen it in any other switches, and I've reviewed, I believe, one other switch on the channel, and I've played around with a few different ones. So you've got some foam packaging in here, and these switches are packaged like so. There's 4 switches in the pack, and it looks like it comes out as one big unit. So we open that up, and the foam kind of protects the switches and separates them from one another. So I'm going to go ahead and take a switch out and see what comes in these boxes here off camera, just so I can clean up a little bit of the mess that's on the screen, and we'll take a look at what we're working with here in just a second. Okay, so here's one switch's worth of stuff taken out of the package. Other than the faceplates, there's 2 of them here. They come bundled together. The reason I didn't unbundle these is because I'm not going to use these. Where I'm going to install these particular switches is in a 3-gang box, which means there's 3 switches all in a row with 1 faceplate across all 3 of those. So I have no need for the individual faceplates. But they're pretty nice. They're little snap-on doohickeys. So, you know, nicely made, nice style. Comes with some wire nuts and some screws to install the switch. Nice to see. So you don't have to provide those yourself. Although if you want higher quality ones, you may want to. Don't know how the quality of those is. I'll see. I'll test them out. And then you get the switch itself. So talks about if you don't know what you're doing, contact an electrician before you shock yourself. And you have your 4 wires coming out the back, and they're kind of stuck down with the little warning label. So this is going to be pretty simple to set up. I'm not going to walk through every little detail on how a switch could possibly be wired up, but I'll kind of show you the way that my particular box is and the way that I wire these up. Another thing to note about these switches, they look like a standard switch from the side where it's bumped out at the bottom for what would be the off position, but this is actually just a push button. You might be able to hear that. It just kind of clicks. So it's going to be a toggle on and off type of switch instead of a flip, 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 flip type of switch. So kind of cool to see. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and head into the room that I'm going to install these in. Start pulling the box apart. Something to note, if you're doing this yourself, you should obviously have done enough research beforehand to know this, but turn off the breaker and use a voltmeter to check that the power is turned off to whatever you're working on. So just a word of warning before you start on this project. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start taking things apart and take a look at what we're working with. Okay, so you can see I have the trim plate off of my wall now. This is the 3-gang box I'm going to install the new switches in. Every single one of these old style Decora switches is going to be replaced with the new smart ones. This is how the old switches are set up. They're just single pole switches, and you have your basically power in, power out, and ground, and then you have your neutral wire bundle back here. Now these smart switches, they require neutral wire. That's your white wire. If you don't have that, you're not going to be able to use them. So make sure and check that you have that. If you have a house built anytime within the past about 20 years or so, you're probably going to, but older ones may vary. So basically all you need to do is connect the wires color-coded to the wires in the outlet box and connect it to the old switch. So your black will go to black, your red will go to red, your ground will go to the green on the new switch will go to the exposed copper ground wire, and your white will go to your neutral bundle. It's pretty darn straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and install all 3 switches, and we'll come back once the faceplate and everything is back on and everything is buttoned up. The installation is now done, minus actually attaching the switches to the wall on the box. But you can see I have each one of the switches wired up. Your red, black, and green wires get their own little separate wire nuts going to the corresponding wires in the box. And all of the white wires go to the big white neutral bundle that I showed earlier. You can see I put a different wire nut on. This is a larger one to accommodate the 3 extra wires. This wasn't included with the switches or anything. It's something that I had in my stock of similar items. So just a note, if you have a neutral bundle that has a lot of wires in it, you're installing maybe more than one of these in a box, you're probably going to need a bigger wire nut. So keep that in mind. Don't use a wire nut that's too small. You can create a non-secure connection, and it's a fire hazard, a shock hazard. It's not a good idea. So what I'm going to do now is put the switches back into the box, screw them into place, and I will go ahead and put the cover plate on, screw that into place as well, and we should be good to go to show you the finished product. Our installation of the switches is now done. You can see we have all 3 of the smart switches lined up with the original faceplate on them. Everything's screwed together nicely. Something to note is that these switches do add wire to the existing wiring that's in there because of the pigtails that come off of them. So you end up with more wire. You also end up with more wire nuts in your box. So be cognizant of that and whether or not your box is big enough to be able to contain all of that. So in my case it wasn't a big deal. It's a little bit tighter, but nothing crazy. So you can see right now I have 2 of the switches where their items are on and 1 switch with the item off. The way these work, the light lights up whenever the light or fan or whatever the switch is attached to is off, and you push it. Sorry, you got to push it down a little bit harder than that. And the light in this case will turn on. Push it again, light will turn off. Or if you have an Amazon Echo, you can say, Alexa, turn on the blue light, and you can see it turns the switch on, and same thing for turning it off. So overall, these seem to be working really well. I really like the way that they function in terms of the little paddle design. It looks like a normal light switch, and it fits in the kind of standard, at least modern day standard Decora form factor. So that's really nice as well. And I'm happy with these, at least on first installation. So I'll let you know how these hold up in the future, if there's any connectivity issues, any failures, anything of that sort in the video description. Let me know if you have any questions about the switches in the comments. And I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.